All right. So thank you guys for again watching my video, and this is day 14, and today's topic is on the endpoint investigation. So I will be discussing on a scenario where a machine compromised internally, an internal machine compromised by an attacker that basically exists outside, right? Attacker presents outside in the internet, and attacker successfully compromised a machine, and now we have been asked to investigate that endpoint to confirm if that machine is really compromised or is it something false positive. Okay, so if you are in cybersecurity, I believe you heard about the terms true positive and false positive. So true positive, that always means you find an alert and you have an attack based on your investigation. False positive, that something triggers for you to investigate as an attack, but when you investigated, you came to a conclusion that this was not an attack, this might be a legit activity or was a false alarm. So now let's consider we are working as a SOC analyst, and we got a traffic or alert basically saying AV detection on a endpoint, right? And now to investigate on an endpoint, or we are suspecting that the traffic going from endpoint to the outside, we want to investigate if this machine is compromised or not. You can also do it with your own machine, right? I will be going now in this call for a Windows based operating system, how we can confirm, how can be sure that our machine is not compromised and is not being controlled by the attacker. Okay, so I will be taking an example for the Windows operating systems, and I will be writing the steps in an Excel sheet. So let me share my Excel sheet with you. Okay, good. So now I'm sure you can see this screen, the Excel one, right? You can the first uh, in first row I'm putting, for example, machine ABC, right? We have machine ABC name, and the machine basically we have been asked to investigate, right? If you're working in a SOC analyst, you can do various steps. You can maybe check the antivirus logs first. You can check the IDS IPS logs. You can check the proxy logs. You can check the what firewall logs. You can check the AD logs to see any unauthorized activity for the lateral movement. You can check the EDR logs, right? But if we have been asked to investigate in a specific endpoint, we don't have any other source to investigate like EDR, AD, firewall, proxy, IDS, IPS, or antivirus, then how we should investigate, right? How, what approach we should think, where we should start to investigating. Okay, this, if we find that that machine is basically compromised. So now for a normal person, right? Okay, even that being used for the under the forensic team also, the forensic guys, right? They do such kind of the investigation. They're looking into the logs and at the endpoint to see if the machine was compromised or it is like something false positive. So but what is basically to check in that endpoint. So let's assume, okay, your machine ABC is compromised by what you suspect that might be some attacker sent some phishing email, right? As attacker sent some phishing email, and that phishing email has some trojan, by which when you click on it, it basically installed some other backdoor into your machine. An attacker is controlling your machine through a CMD, or we can say reverse TCP connection. Reverse TCP connection. So now attacker can access the CMD, the command prompt of your machine, through the backdoor and with reverse TCP connection. So now there are things being should be always cleared in your mind, so that you can see this reverse connection traffic in the firewall, right? A machine A Windows-based machine can also generate the firewall logs. Okay, we have the capabilities to log individual port numbers, to log specific traffic. If that traffic is denied, allowed also. We can do into a endpoint level as well. But for example, your machine is compromised, so we can see the firewall traffic in the endpoints. Okay, I'm not talking about the any specific hardware software firewall. This basically Windows, Microsoft Windows, all operating systems also give you an option to log the activity based on the network packet. If you can find some backdoor, that might be some process and application running based on the name of it, application or process. For example, the backdoor was dropped by the attacker is xvset.exe. So there's some application of the process being running in your machine, right? And this is okay. So now let's understand what we have to check. We can check the network connection. First, we will check the network connection. Network connection. So you can see the network connection in your Windows-based operating systems, of which port numbers your machine is connected or established the connection and what IP address it is. Then you can also list the number of the process which initiating those connection. So in that command basically used netstate -anob. Okay, so if you are running this command in command prompt, you will get to know about the number of connection being established from the compromised machine, or possibly uh, you know, maybe machine is not compromised. If we want to see the network connection from the endpoint, we can run this command to see the connections based on the source port, destination ports, and process name, and as well as process ID. You can open the task manager. You can see the resource monitor there, task manager, resource monitor, resource monitor. You can look out the CPU utilizations, which programs running, which programs are added in setup files, what are the bytes being transferred. You can also see that information in task manager, right? That is very useful. Sometimes people are not familiar with the command. They can monitor all those activity in the task manager also, and if you will check in the resource monitor. Third thing, you can check about the path, basically the path of the application. So there are some Windows applications, the legit applications, which runs under system32 directory only. Attackers sometimes use such file name of the Trojan to to make you the impression that okay, this is a legit file only, but they cannot run it from the Windows by default path. So if you're finding some, for example, svc host application, svc host.exe is running from directory D, or temp directory, right? Then it's something very fishy or very suspicious. Then you have to check into that. The fourth, any applications are being executed through temp directory. You know, because attackers sometimes get the access on, because whatever the application they're running, they're also being copied into the RAM, and in the RAM also, and the attacker is also sometimes copying the malicious infections in a temp file, so they can also execute it. So you have to check the applications which being executed to install under temp directory, right? Then you can check about the on the connections in the browser cache. Okay, there is an option you can see, or you can list out about the number of the DNS queries resolved by your browser or by the operating systems, right? So DNS request, the similar information you can also check out in the host file of a operating system, Windows operating systems file, basically in system32, the host file. This host file lists the domain name and the mapping of the IP address. Attackers sometimes manipulate this file also for doing DNS poisoning attack. Now you can see the scheduled task. If there is a scheduled task created by the admin, or if scheduled task modified with some unknown commands, right? Then you can also see any scheduled task if have been created or not, right? You can verify the services, right? So you can verify the list of the services installed in your machine. If you find some unknown services, you can call it which application is being used for the services, and then you can also list out about the other DLLs being injected or being used by that applications, right? Because sometimes attacker also doing DLL injection attack to infecting they're basically injecting their malicious DLL into the legit process also to make the legit process to behave and being controlled by the attacker machine also. And paid registry changes, right? You can look at the registry modifications if the recently modification registry have been done by the user, which source user at what time, right? What about the requirement for that? And very much important, the right, the user account. If any admin account is created recently on your machine, or any new account have been created, or any guest account have been enabled, this is also possible way attacker do sometimes, right? And then you can look for the startup entries. The startup, basically, in Windows operating systems, attacker can put their malicious applications in the startup file for path. So whenever the machine got rebooted, it automatically load the Trojan into the operating system memory and execute the payload, right? And then what you can look further now, let me just think about it. So this is the, I just share the 10 important steps. Even you're talking about 5, this is very good because you should know something what you have to check at the endpoint. If you are logging all these informations into the logs through SIEM console or SIEM management, then it's very good. Otherwise, if you are doing this, you're doing any other kind of the correlation or doing such forensics, even after getting the capturing the file image, right, the operating system image file, you can do also with some forensic tool. But you can list out these top 10 activities which you will check of on a possibly on machine to see if the machine is possibly compromised or not. I think for today, this is good, and I will be continue my date with a new video, right? And then hopefully you're learning something new, guys, every day. Thank you. Bye.